All right, well, welcome to Phase 2B, Getting Legalized. And this is our updated video, and which means we have access to checklists. So don't forget to download the overall Hagwon Startup checklist, which is free at the HagwonStart.com checklists with an S. And also, if you're a member, don't forget to download the other separate checklists, which are the Hagwon Laws checklist and the Hagwon Documents checklist. And those two documents, those two checklists will just list things that you need. And it's good to print it so that you can carry it with you and check it off. Also, write in some notes in the blank spaces so that you can make sure that you plan and that you don't make the same mistakes that I did. So anyhow, in this phase, you will learn about the types of documents you need to prepare. Basically, a lot of the information was translated into English. So a lot of the information in this section, I should not a lot, but just at least the documents information, you can find if you go to the Office of Education website of your district. And I mean, it's not easy to find, but you gotta like kind of search for like the PDF files of the laws for your Hagwon business type. And if you can't find it, at least you can go to the education office and ask them. And depending on the people you meet, they may be nice, they may not be nice. So that's something that you'll have to kind of go through. But in this section, you'll learn about legalizing your space, preparing necessary documents, also thinking about your schedule, right? Like your scheduling, like when kids will come, how often they'll come, how much you'll charge them. You'll also learn about submitting your documents, like how long that takes. Also getting inspected by the education office. Yes, so someone will come to your Hagwon business and check to make sure you are following the laws. And then you'll have to also visit the tax office. You'll have to register your business, get a card payment machine, and it's in your best interest to do the final thing, which is registering a business credit card. And in this section, I talk about the importance of everything, of all these legal things you need to follow. But at the same time, I do write a lot of commentary explaining that a lot of these laws are different depending on your district, and actually a lot of laws are not even really enforced, and kind of things that the way the laws are enforced in some example situations. So just one little tip for you now, especially you might be afraid of not knowing the Hagwon laws. Like, I mean, if you're like me, or if you are like I was so afraid. Like, the one thing that would have stopped me from starting a Hagwon was not knowing the laws. And right now, I've made a Hagwon startup guide, and I've tried to learn as much as I can about Hagwons and everything. And I have a confession to make. I don't know all the laws. And the thing is, I don't think anyone does, because the laws change every year. And there are some laws that are different for maybe if you're in Incheon, and then they're different for if you're in Gangnam, like me. So it's really vague. So my advice to you is, don't let the laws stop you. Don't let the lack of laws. I'm not saying don't break the laws. You try to follow the laws as much as you can. However, just because you don't know some laws doesn't mean it should stop you from starting your own Hagwon business and creating a lifestyle for yourself. So that's just one thing I want to say. And don't forget also that this is phase 2B. You should be doing this at the same time as you are doing phase 2A. So those kind of go together, because the things in phase 2A need to match the laws in phase 2B. So that's how we got phase 2A and B. You know what I'm saying? All right, so anyways, good luck, and I'll see you in phase 3. Bye. I did it again, actually. Not bye, but I'm going to show you an example of one of the sections. So here it is. All right, well, here's an example of phase 2B. And this is the first one, which is preparing necessary documents. So getting all of your necessary documents. So in this section, you'll definitely learn exactly what documents you need. And remember, each district is different from one another. So I have some links. So I have links to all of the districts of education in Seoul at least. And if you're outside of Seoul, you're going to have to Naver that. And if you don't know how to use Naver, you should definitely learn if you want to do a business in Korea. And here, I mentioned them briefly in the Hagwon Law section, but I expand on them and explain what you need to get. For example, you need to get an application form, a map, a diploma, and as well, before I continue, you can also listen to the podcast episode where I share a lot of the information in there. And there are basically 11 things you need to do, possibly 12 if you are required to get a medical checkup. So there are about 12 documents, depending on your visa, right? You might be able to get maybe less. So it really depends on who you are. I give a little hints. For example, when you do your criminal record check, one thing to you should really keep in mind is there's two ways of getting your fingerprints checked. There's like your index finger getting, I guess, printed, or all five of your fingers. Make sure you get all five, and then there's things you need to do like sending it home, getting it translated, and things like that. Those are the things we cover in this section, and I also give you some advice and share about my information and some stuff, like for example, when people check your Hagwon business, what actually happens and how often they come, things like that. So anyhow, check it out for more in-depth knowledge and for more in-depth information. Definitely check out the guide so that you can get access to all of the information. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that example, and I hope that kind of shows you kind of what to expect in this guide. And at the very least, you can access a sample of every section. So anyhow, good luck in your business building. Bye.